Writing thesis is one task, but deciding if one should go for the thesis option or one should go for the subjects to study in lieu of the thesis is another question that haunts the minds of the students. In this video, we will try to shed some light on the benefits and the challenges if one goes for the thesis option. So accordingly, the question in our mind is this, that to write thesis or not is the question. So as we know that there are pros and cons of everything we do, there are always some costs and benefits of everything that we do in our lives. So here we are trying to understand the benefits and the challenges of doing a thesis in a graduate academic program where thesis is an optional thing. If one is to write a thesis like in MPhil or PhD degree, this is not any choice in which one has to think. But in the degrees like BS honors and MSc, one has to decide about it. So it becomes something that should be guided, and this video is about the benefits and the challenges. Definitely the decision is to be made by the candidate himself, but this video can help him or her to come up with a more guided and educated decision. So let's talk about the benefits of writing a thesis. One of the most important things, in my opinion, is the academic immortality. You know that we are all mortals, yet we try to do things or we try to be remembered even after our demise. So, as a student, if we want to do something that could be remembered even after our demise, it is a thesis, it is a research, it is a document that we create, we write. So academic immortality will be there once if you write a thesis, because it will be in the libraries, no matter you are there in this world or not, it will be there. And you will be condemned or commended depending upon the quality of the work you do. So academic immortality can be achieved if you write a thesis. Now if one studies for 16 years, roughly speaking, a brainchild should come. One should be able to produce something using his mind instead of just reading and remembering and reproducing things that one has studied in the books written by others. So your brain should be able to give birth to a child, which is a thesis. Now another point to be remembered when it comes to the decision of writing a thesis or not is that usually, I'm not saying every time, but I'm saying usually higher marks are obtained as compared to if we go for subjects, and that is also conditional upon if the quality of the work is good. If we have produced good research, it is a genuine research, then usually we get good marks. We are likely to score above a minimum level, for example 75% or 70%. I'm talking here about the minimum marks. It can definitely cross the limit of 80, 85, and at times if it is an outstanding thesis it can also cross the limit of 90% marks. But in subjects, things can go wrong. Exam can be undesirable, or there are a number of issues that we can face when it comes to studying subjects and getting marks in them. So this is another thing that can be a benefit of a thesis. Usually in developing countries, for example Pakistan and others, uh, the education system is very old, and the foundation is to uh, you know make people who are not intellectually strong, rather they are able to do repetitive works, or they can follow instructions. As a result, these students, they are usually um, you know interested in cramming things, and they have developed a bad habit of just repeating the things again and again so that they could remember those things, and they could be able to produce those things. So if one is studying for 16 years, And if thesis is there, it can help to counter this bad habit of cramming for at least 6 months or 1 year. If one tries to write a thing using his own brain instead of just cramming the things that already exist, the bad habit of cramming can be countered to a good extent. As there is a famous saying that all is well that ends well. So, if the academic career ends with a thesis or a good contribution to the literature, it definitely is a good end. Man is a creature of curiosity, and man has the ability to create things, and creativity is exclusive to human beings, and it is not found in the creatures other than human beings. So writing a thesis is one of the ways to give vent to one's creativity. One can create something, create an idea, and then analyze the data, write something on it, come up with some solution of a problem. So we can satisfy our creativity by writing a thesis. And we live in a kind of environment which is now known as creative economy, in which the creativity matters a lot. New ideas, they are there to give rise to new products and new services. So in order to survive and then thrive in this kind of economy, this kind of training in which one gives vent to his creativity is a good thing, and thesis is a small effort in this regard and cannot be overlooked. And then if you write a thesis from a crammer, you can become an author, and definitely there's a big difference between the two. If one is cramming, he's a crammer, and if one is writing something, he's an author. An author is someone whose work is read by others, so he's a kind of leader in the world of literature. Therefore, one can become an author by writing a thesis, and this training at the end of one's academic career can help him to become a long-term author or an author for the rest of his life. So it's a good kind of training that one can have simply by writing a thesis. Also, it gives you partial liberty from the tedious class routine of subjects if you select, subjects instead of thesis. So it gives you the partial liberty. I'm saying, I mean, because classes are not to be treated in an absolutely tedious perception. We can say that this thing has been there since childhood. We study in classes since childhood following a certain timetable. But if you write thesis, you'll be exempted from some subjects, and that time will be a kind of partial liberty for you. And you can use that liberty positively, productively, and you can, write a thing of your own, give vent to your ideas as well. So it's a good positive change for some constructive purpose. And now we live in a digital era. This is something we all experience every day of our life, and it makes us feel good because now it is fun to write thesis. Why? Because we can get all the information we want, and in an instantaneous matter with all the technologies that are coming our way. Especially we are waiting for 5G, so the information is now available in the palm of our hands. Just remember in old times when we didn't have the digital technology, those who wanted to write a document or a book, they really had to work hard. They had to sit in the libraries, find the books, find the journals and other documents, visit those places where those books were available, especially. And then they had to, extract the relevant material, get it photocopied or write it, and then they were able to use them as a reference in their thesis. But now it is not so. We have digital libraries, we have Google Scholar, and we have all the possible ways of retrieving fresh literature and at minimal cost. and the tools, they are available to us, research tools, softwares. So it's now not just a very tedious thing. It's a kind of fun if one is interested in doing it. So again, thesis now is not just a tedious thing. It's quite a bit of fun, provided if one is interested in it. As we were talking about this digital era has brought substantial changes in our surroundings, and it would not be an understatement if we say that disruptive changes are observable. And one of those changes is that now we have, in this digitalized world, we have a lot of data which is growing at an exponential rate or even more, because now everything is now measurable. Every search on the internet, it gets recorded. How many people have searched which one of the keywords on your YouTube channel. If you just go into the analytics part, you will see that um, a plethora of information is available with reference to gender, location, time, average, you just name it. All the analytical aspects of the data has been now made available, for example, on YouTube, on other media. So you see, this data is now increasing uh, at a very unusual rate. So it's an increasing demand for those people who have this analytical ability to deal with the ever increasing data. So if one does a thesis, he or she is going to develop some analytical skill, and that analytical skill can help that person to become more um, demanded in the market, because in the market uh, there is a certain skill set which is required by the employer, and this analytical ability and the analytics is basically um, a next big thing in the skill set that is demanded by the employers. And thesis increases our analytical ability. Definitely cramming or studying the material written by other authors is just addition to one's knowledge, but when we write a thesis, analytical ability is likely to grow. And another benefit of writing a thesis is that we can contribute to this new world that we live in, which is defined by knowledge-based economy, where the ideas, they create huge tides of change. For example, you talk about Google, you talk about Amazon, Facebook, YouTube, and all such giants of the digital era. They are all basically an idea, an idea that was creative, that was based on one's ability to think and come up with something new. And now you see that not just they have become global giants, they have also transformed the way we live, the way we interact, the way we purchase, the way we share, the way we search for information. So you see, one can be one of the major contributors or among those people who make a difference, who create history, and who transform the future, and who contribute to this new world which is defined by knowledge based economy, which is based on creativity and analytical ability. Now, instead of talking about the disadvantages of writing a thesis, I'm talking about the challenges of writing a thesis, because I don't think that it would be fair to say that writing a thesis comes with disadvantages. If we are putting in good effort, honest effort, definitely the thesis would be a beneficial thing. There can be challenges, but writing a thesis is not going to give us any disadvantage. So, in my opinion, there are some challenges, so they should be considered. For example, coming up with a genuine idea or a genuine contribution is not an easy thing to do. I mean, people can write theses, but in my opinion, it will not be research, because it will just be a document and not the thesis that it means, that is an idea, because thesis means idea. So maybe they come up with some replicative task, or they just redux an old idea, which definitely is not a good contribution or a genuine contribution to literature. Coming up with an idea which is genuine is definitely something that is a demanding task. So this is one challenge that is faced by the people who write good thesis. Data availability is another problem that they can face, and that usually depends upon the nature of data. Some type of data is easily available, which is in the formal sector, where we have a well-regulated sector where there are well-defined boundaries and institutions, and the data is revealed by those firms or departments. It becomes easy to get the data. But when it comes to people or a certain segment of people living in some certain areas, or when there is a problem with the society, and we might be asking them questions that are not easily answered by people because they consider that it is not socially acceptable to answer these questions. They might such questions, they might transgress the boundaries of their privacy. So there can be such issues in social sciences research, for example in psychology, as well as in civics, etc. Economics is also there. If we are doing some research from the social point of view, or social economy is being captured, then definitely there can be some problems by the respondents. They might not be very much willing to respond to you for the data that you are looking for. They also have fears that you might misuse their information, you might reveal their identity. That is definitely against the decorum of the research, but the fear which is there in the layman's mind cannot be washed completely, because they don't know about the decorum of research, but or ethics of research, but they will be just thinking about about you know getting their information revealed, um, or their information might also be used in a way which is not acceptable by them. So data availability and its collection, it can be challenging at times, and I have seen people facing different kinds of difficulties in this process. However, it's an adventurous process, and if you are able to get the data, and then if you are able to analyze it, and if you come up with some meaningful interpretations, it definitely feels like as if you have achieved something significant, or you have gone through an adventure. So another challenge could be for a certain segment of students who are not well versed with written English. They might face difficulty in writing proper or correct English. For those people who are non-English medium students, definitely it can be an issue. But this can also be solved by consulting someone who is good at English, or who is studying or teaching English. So help can be taken to solve this challenge. Statistical tools, definitely if one is studying economics or psychology or any other social science, it is likely that the statistical tools will not be the favorite area, or not the forte of that student. So this can put that student who is writing a thesis and using some statistical tools in some difficulty, because usually in the courses we do not have ample application of the statistical techniques or tools, and usually the focus is on the theory of the statistics. So this can be a problem where such problem is existing, where the application of the statistical tools is meager. Another problem which is related to the technical side is with the computer software. Um, if we talk about those people who are just completing their graduation and are deciding about the thesis, um, they are likely to be Generation Z or Gen Z or Zoomers, those who are born in 90s and afterwards. So these people, they are likely to know good information about how to use mobile, and especially for the social media, they are very adept at using Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, and all those social media platforms. But the uh, matter of regret is that they are still lacking the formal technical training and the soft skills that are required in academics and research and profession. Because if you ask them about statistical softwares, for example, Stata, eViews, or other softwares like NVivo, they would, you know, just shrug it off and say that, they haven't done much of it, or perhaps they have a basic idea. So these are the tools that are used for analytical purposes in business, in research, in academics, but usually they are not well versed. And even at times they are not well versed with the Microsoft Office package, Microsoft Excel and Word. Even they are just an average user of these softwares that are now even a part of the course that we study. This is that lamentable thing, that this generation, which is considered to be tech savvy and digitally aware, their attention and their learning is not focused on productive tools and softwares. They are just stuck mostly, not totally, with social media and such entertainment things, and they are a customer of the attention economy, where the purpose is to keep the attention of the viewer as long as possible. So these are the challenges that are usually faced by those who write theses. Now let's talk about the decision, and it's very unexpected. As you can see, I have written, it's all up to you. Definitely you will decide about it. It's up to you. You can think over it, and definitely you are in the best position to decide. The purpose of this video is just to aware you of a few things that can help you to decide in a more educated way. Because to me, it is simply this thing, that if not you, who? And if not now, when? Thank you.